forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Token Metrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Token Metrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Token Metrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Token Metrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys. We created Token Metrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond.
Disclaimer. Token Metrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments, nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The Token Metrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.
Okay, all right. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Token Metrics live stream. Being joined by Bill Noble and Forrest. Hope you all had a great week here in crypto. As we like to say, there's never a dull day in crypto. Crypto is the future of money, and this is, in our opinion, one of the best live streams in all of crypto, and we have quite a show for you. We also have a very, very special announcements. 2 big updates are coming to Token Metrics. They've been long awaited. We think this is going to be a game changer. We know it's taken a while, but we have 2 big updates coming to our customers. So stay tuned. It's going to be quite the show. And as usual, make sure to follow us everywhere online, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on the podcast. In today's show, we'll cover April market forecast. Bill has the best market update in all of crypto. Forrest will share his crypto price predictions, very, very realistic price predictions. And we'll go through, cover Uniswap. And as usual, we'll answer your questions via Crypto Therapy and via the AMA. So it's going to be quite the show. Bill, Forrest, how are you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Ian, thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome. All right. So, let's hop straight into the show. But first, if you have any questions, go to menti.com to post any questions for the AMA. Menti code is 2102-4399. That's 2102-4399. Once again, that's menti.com, MENTI.com. And be sure to join Tokenmetrics and become a customer, because we, as I mentioned earlier in the show, we'll showcase 2 big updates coming to our customer base. And after we make these updates this week, because of all the value coming into Tokenmetrics, we'll be making price changes in the next month or so. So if you've been waiting to become a customer, now is the time. You basically have 1 month left, basically until the end of April, until the prices go up, because with these 2 updates, we think this is going to transform all of crypto. Not just for customers, but for all of crypto. So stay tuned. We'll show you what those updates are. Okay, so let's hop straight into, well, actually, I think, sorry, just give me 1 second here. Let's hop straight into the market update with Bill. Bill, take it away.
All right, sir, you bringing up the PowerPoint? Hi, can you hear me out there?
Okay, hold on. Here, I'm back. Sorry. Bill, could you reshare your screen? I think we lost your screen there.
Okay, you have PowerPoint now?
No. Okay, here, let's, okay, there we go. And it's gone. All right, please bear with us here. I'm gonna sort this out.
Do you want me to bring it back up, or are you bringing it up?
Bring it back up, as you did. Well, while we're doing that, go to Menti and post any questions you have. Okay, there we go. All right, Bill, take it away.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for tuning in. This is the market update. Let's start with Bitcoin. I know we're the ETH maximalists, and we're starting with Bitcoin. You heard right. I am noticing in Bitcoin, and also working in conjunction with some of our other analysts, that Bitcoin has been able to survive the correction and actually look better than I could have imagined. If you look at Bitcoin going all the way back to the low at 4,000, I've identified this start, stop, start, stop, start, stop phenomenon. Now, I know that probably sounded a little bit verbose for video, but normally when you have 3 of those, the next rally can be big. Okay? So everybody has kind of gotten used to Bitcoin, maybe forgotten about it. Our charts are showing it survived the correction. It hit an important fib retracement around 50K. And frankly, 80 or 100K is possible. Now, that's nice, right? But this is an altcoin show. So let me just bring up 2 reminders. 1, if you see a corporate announcement or a major Bitcoin catalyst, or wake up one day and Bitcoin's up 10%, you better be careful with your altcoin positions. If you've got a lot of profits in altcoins and you see a big move in Bitcoin that doesn't take the rest of the market with it, please be careful. Now, the second thing is I will actually give you the bottom line at the start. On this show, we have talked frequently about all the tricks that bull markets can play on you to scare you. Flash crashes, wild ranges, blow off tops, and then sudden drops after. This case, we have a phenomenon where a lot of the big market leaders, the big cap coins, the charts don't look so good. Now, in the past, in equities, I remember when everything didn't look so good and I could put 15 charts together showing it doesn't look so good, sometimes the market would just turn around and surprise everybody. Wouldn't that be nice? I would actually sleep better if it did. Okay. But when I'm looking at this Bitcoin dominance chart, I'm now transitioning from what I hope happens, from what can happen, to what actually is happening. Okay. This is Bitcoin dominance. It looks like there's a lot of support at 59%. This alt season started in January, long, long ago, with Bitcoin dominance at 71%. To me, this is starting to look like, altcoins are starting to get tired. Now, I have worked with our quantitative department, and I have right here something that's going out to our customers on Monday, essentially showing that alt season may be getting a little bit tired. This chart confirms that idea. Now, the top 15 market cap: Cardano, Polkadot, Uniswap, Theta is in there now, top 10. Okay. Chainlink and Stellar. Don't forget Binance Coin at number 3 and ETH pressing, correct me if I'm wrong, 200 billion market cap, or it was at the highs. So there is a lot going on in the chart world underneath Bitcoin. All right. And a lot of our automated technical indicators have flashed warning signals in some of these coins. Now, let's talk about Theta and let's give credit where credit is due. Forrest came to me and said, Bill, let's look at Gann and log charts. And I said, you know what? I'm not sure about that. But then I looked into it and Forrest was right. As usual, frankly, as usual. So this is a Gann chart of Theta drawn as a log scale. Okay, Theta has moved so much that this log scale is required to get some sort of idea visually about where it's been and where it can go. Now, the red line, the diagonal red line, is the type of trend line that Forrest likes to draw. Okay, it kind of gives you an idea when the market is above or below it, how extended the market may be. So if you go back to early 2021, you can see that, Theta got about 138% above the red line. Interesting that 38% is a fib number. Today, after hitting about 15, Theta is now got 162%, another fib line, above this red trend line, and ran into resistance around 15. Now, what does this tell you? This tells you that Theta may be extremely overbought and extremely overdone. Now, if it breaks, 1468, no one cares, it's going higher, that's great. But if it doesn't, and there's sort of either a Bitcoin rally or something negative happens to altcoins, this could be vulnerable, okay? Just because of how extended it is in many ways. Okay, let's talk ETH, shock and awe. I sat here at my desk in a state of disbelief that ETH fell below support at 1740. ETH had built a base on that level for probably 12 days. Normally, when ETH does that quiet sideways movement, it's a prelude to a much bigger rally. Well, apparently not. Apparently, I had tons of company in the view, which is a really chilling idea as an analyst. So they wash ETH out. ETH comes back to test 1740 and stalls. Now, folks, by the time you read this, I really hope ETH is above 1740 and everything is fine. Okay, but if ETH is not above 1740, It is not good for the altcoin universe. So that is a very big point to keep in mind. Now, total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin. There's a lot of resistance at 682 billion. This is a weekly chart. This is the 4th or 5th week in a row that, total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin, in other words, the altcoin universe, has failed at this level. Now, sometimes it can press resistance. We've seen this all year. And then all of a sudden, there's a catalyst, like something good happening in ETH, and it explodes through. So if it does, altcoin market cap can go to 880 billion. If it doesn't, and again, ETH turns over, you better be careful. Now, ETH market cap, interesting little chart. 200 billion is a very psychological point. ETH has tried to get through 200 billion for the last 5 weeks and has not made it. I think if you see ETH sustaining market cap above 200 billion, that would be constructive for the market. If ETH cannot hold this level, please be careful. Now, I was talking with a customer last night, and we sort of joke around about how many times a day I get asked to chart Polkadot. Polkadot stopped multiple times at 38. So you can tell a lot of these people looking at sizable staking rewards are selling. Not to mention the fact that if alt season does in fact roll over, the Polkadot universe could get hurt the worst because it's highly speculative, right? Just the way ETH and ICOs were speculative back in 2017, 2018. The key level to watch in Polkadot is 32 to 33. Just like with 1740 in ETH, Polkadot seemed to run up there and stall. If Polkadot goes down, 24 is the target. At the end of the day, Polkadot's not only got to get above 32, 33, but it's really got to punch through 38 to prove itself. And that feels like a really tall order. Now, Chainlink, as much as I love the Link Marines, I want to show the Link Marines some love by giving them the navigation that they need. And also to try to actually help them in case there's a correction. Now, the good news is Chainlink has really good support at 24. No one appears to be brave enough to push it below 24. However, Chainlink is not able to get above 28. The red lines show a rising wedge. Chainlink did a break out of the top and then came back inside the wedge. That's not good. That's not good. So 24 in Chainlink has to hold, and it may. And if it does, the Link Marines can take it up to 40. However, if you see an ugly day in Chainlink, particularly if, say, Bitcoin hurt the whole space, I would advise serious caution in this if it stays below 24. Now, Cardano. This is a log chart. Cardano, we had a technical point around 150, and it's pretty much gone sideways since. I think if Cardano is below $1.10, you could see this sort of like Ethereum rebellion bubble sort of pop, right? Cardano's not doing anything bad, but I don't think it's necessarily doing anything good either. Our guys think Polkadot in a best case scenario could head to 5. I would love that. I just think that anybody who has made real money in this and say Polkadot, you need to be very careful and pay attention to your screens this upcoming week. Binance Coin, on the subject of the Ethereum rebellion, has tried to get above $280 multiple times. Each time, the attempt to get through that level gets weaker and weaker. Now, on one hand, this looks like a triangle. On the other hand, things like triangles and form formations that work well in equities that are obvious and everyone can see don't always work as well in crypto. Okay. So if Binance Coin fails at 280, there's risk of it going to 175. Now, I know that sounds scary, but I have to somehow convey in a neutral way what could happen if the market turns around and goes down, right? So think of it as, I don't know if the storm is going to come, but if there is a storm, I want to be ready. And obviously, if Binance Coin is above 280 and everything's rocking and it's going to go to 500, well, I'm sure you'll be okay. It's I worry about my audience by saying, okay, what happens if this thing gets rejected at 280? Now, Uniswap, like Chainlink, has decent support below it at 25. That's the good news. Also good news is that Uniswap could reach an upside target of 40. So a lot of what happens with Uniswap probably is a function of talk of the Coinbase IPO. What does that mean? Well, if people think Coinbase is worth a lot, then that could help the Uni token be worth a lot. Even though it's apples to oranges, stocks to a token, okay? Coinbase's IPO mooning either psychologically or actually on the market is good for Uni. That said, if Uniswap gets hammered below 25, I think people could get upset and take it down to 19. Going back to our first couple charts, if Bitcoin dominance goes up, these coins probably are going to fall. Okay, Stellar. I know, not the most exciting crypto on the planet. But Stellar has shown a propensity after failing at big fib extension lines to turn around and come off. Now, right now, we're looking at 41 cents. This is a top 15 project. If Stellar starts to fall apart and goes to 27, the rest of the market is probably going to be going down with it. Now, let's talk about DeFi and, frankly, how I got absolutely hosed on this decline. I'm looking at a diamond formation in DeFi futures. And I'm like, this has to be a consolidation to move higher. There's no way DeFi is going to break down, right? Wrong. Part of this talk is showing you how somebody who's in the business handles being wrong, because that is the one thing we all have in common. We've all bought the high, we've all bought the low, we've all done bad trades, and we all just don't get it right sometimes. The question is, what do you learn from that, and what do you do next? Now, in this DeFi futures contract, the fact that they broke out of the bottom of this diamond is flat out scary. I don't like it. The good news is if there was a powerful rally, probably back above 11K, I would feel much better, because you would have a powerful formation, then a bearish signal, then an invalidation of the bearish signal. Now, I know that's a lot to chew on, but if everybody gets negative and all of a sudden it goes up, that's great for crypto. But for whatever reason, if crypto doesn't get it together soon, it's vulnerable to the bears taking control. Again, hopefully this is the bull market trick where all the charts turn and then it goes up anyway. Now, this is not exactly family friendly. This is a Medium article, sort of with a counter idea on NFTs. And I'm just wondering simply if the value in NFTs is not in the marketplaces, but perhaps in the art itself. And I'm also wondering if the art itself is in a bubble mode. As I understand it, somebody paid $70 million for a YouTube video that was once free. Feel free to correct me on that in the comments. You just have to be careful of any type of bubble phenomenon in NFTs. Because if something could start a decline in crypto, it could be a problem in this new market. I certainly hope not, but you have to be prepared for it. Now, let's talk about something good. Recently, we released something to our customers called the Polkadot portfolio. I worked with our quantitative team, and we constructed a portfolio that people could use to effectively speculate in Polkadot in a diversified way. XRT Robonomics came up as a high allocation. So I feed the symbols to the quant team, and they came back with this as like a 20% allocation. I'm also noticing the stop-start phenomenon. Why am I telling you this? Well, if Polkadot gets its act together, this coin could go up a lot. So a recovery in Polkadot above 32 or 33, and then maybe an eventual break of 38 could get a larger rally started in this type of coin. That said, be careful in the speculative Polkadot universe if Polkadot fails at 33. You'll probably be watching this video 4 or 5 days from today, March 29th. Just please be careful. And if you don't have to be careful, well, thank God. Okay, audio, the possible replacement for iTunes and Spotify, picked by Forrest. Audio hit a fib number at 4.5 and is coming back down into a GAN and support zone around 3. Now, folks, if there's a bid for this coin at 3, it is possible, especially with other big altcoins looking weak to neutral, that this could be like a 1 or 2 coin alt market where a lot of people bail on things that they're frustrated with and run into audio. Now, it's also possible that this thing went from $1 to $4. You take your 3X and you go home. However, when we look at the fundamentals of this coin, I particularly want to pay attention to what happens at 3. It's one thing to grab it at $1.50 and watch it go to 4. It's a total different game to watch it go to 4 and then see if people want to buy the dip at 3. People want to buy the dip at 3, audio is going up. If not, then it's played out. But I do think that there's a risk, especially if altcoins roll over, that a lot of money winds up flowing into this, and you could have sort of like a one-coin alt market. I know that sounds a little weird, but this is a weird market update. And that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. Thank you, Bill. That was great. So if you enjoyed that live market update, yes, this is a live show. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe and share this video with your friends. Tell a friend to tell a friend that not being in crypto is a financial crime. Okay, now time for the next segment. And by the way, be sure to stay tuned in for the whole show, because towards the end, we'll share with you the 2 big updates coming to tokenmetrics.com to our customers. If you haven't yet joined, be sure to join. This week we have 2 big updates, long-awaited updates. Very, very excited for this. Make sure you stay tuned for the whole show. Okay, let's now pivot to Forrest with the coins of the week, or with the price predictions.
Yep. Hey guys, is my screen showing okay?
Yes, yeah, crystal clear.
All right. So in this week, we're going to go over a Bitcoin realistic prediction using some realistic scenario models. But first, I kind of just want to take a look at where we currently are with Bitcoin in the market. And keep in mind, Bitcoin's a key indicator for the entire market. If Bitcoin goes up, usually the rest of the market follows. Now, Bill just talked about how we could see a situation where Bitcoin takes off and there's a delay or a lag for altcoins to follow. And altcoins don't come with it immediately. But again, if Bitcoin goes down, usually it takes the whole market with it. So this is just Bitcoin's price charted out all the way back to 2012. And I've imposed some logarithmic regression lines that I like to use to tell me whether or not it's a good time to accumulate or sell or take profits on Bitcoin. Historically, it's been a great time to accumulate between the yellow and the green bands. And anytime we're over the red band, it's been Bitcoin's been in a bubble. And it's been a good time to take profits. Now, just because we're currently in a bubble, obviously doesn't mean we can't go a lot higher. Look at the past two bubbles that we saw. If you'd have taken profits immediately after breaking through the red band, you missed out on a lot of value. So we can go a lot higher. And I think Bitcoin's actually poised to go up much, much higher. So I wanted to take a moment to analyze a pattern that we're seeing repeat itself from 2017, right before Bitcoin ran from around $3,000 here down at the bottom, all the way to its all-time high at the time of $19,600 or so, right? We came up and we made a new all-time high, followed by a dip, followed by a second all-time high, followed by a smaller dip, followed by a third all-time high. But this third all-time high wasn't much higher than its previous high, followed by a retest of this neckline. Now, this retest was, if you remember all the way back to 2017, this was related to a lot of FUD articles about people panicking regarding the Bitcoin Cash fork right before, I believe, August of 2017. Once it retested and established support on its previous all-time high, we rallied from 3,000 to 19,600. It went parabolic, and it did this over the course of about 91 days. That's only 3 months. Now, I've looked at Bitcoin's pattern and recognized the same pattern coming together right now over the last month or so. We made an all-time high. I believe this was 42,000. We had a correction, broke through the neckline, made an all-time high again. Had a smaller correction, and then made a third all-time high slightly above our previous all-time high. Now, the question is, and this is where I think Bill's alluding to that we need to be careful, is this going to come back down and retest the neckline? Now, in 2017, it retested the neckline, but it was kind of artificially forced down there by this Bitcoin Cash fork FUD. Now, we could always get a FUD article that comes out and pushes us down and retests here. I do think, though, if we can hold support here, or maybe this was our support down here earlier, and we've already made this and we're poised to go higher, that Bitcoin could potentially go parabolic. All right, so let's shift over, and I'm going to bring all of this together for the Bitcoin the Bitcoin price prediction. Let's take a look at where the total market is and where Bitcoin's sitting in terms of dominance. Now, this is just altcoin dominance. So as this goes up, as this chart increases, Bitcoin dominance is decreasing. It's just the inverse. But I want to look at this because there's two trends or two patterns that I want to draw to your attention. The first is the fact that altcoin dominance has been on a trend line increasing over time, right? This blue trend line shows that altcoin dominance has been increasing, and that's completely logical that over time, Bitcoin dominance would decrease. Why? Because there's hundreds of new altcoins coming onto the market every single week. A lot of them deserve or are worthy of investment, right? Cardano, one of those that is going to eventually steal some market dominance away from Bitcoin. Ethereum, one that's already stolen a lot of market dominance. These good altcoin projects that are coming onto the market, they're going to steal away some market dominance or some market share from the total cryptocurrency market cap away from Bitcoin over time. So we would expect that altcoin dominance over the long run should increase, and it has been doing so with the occasional bubble. Now, I do think that we are potentially in a place where we could see an altcoin bubble. We're seeing this, it's called an expanding triangle pattern, and usually it's a reversal pattern, right? And it would be reversing this big downtrend that we were in, coming down from the bubble, right? And it could push us higher. Now, a lot of times, I believe these expanding triangles have 5 to 7 waves, but sometimes they have 9 waves. And I do think that if what Bill was talking about, where we do see altcoins suffer, we could see a potential 8th and 9th wave in this expanding triangle, where maybe altcoins do a fake out, Bitcoin goes on a parabolic run up and drives altcoin dominance way down, and we see this expanding triangle make an 8th wave and then a 9th wave before potentially going on a full altcoin season up to higher altcoin dominance numbers. This is just the exact same chart, except for its Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is just the inverse of altcoin dominance. So we're seeing the same thing. It's just decreasing. Now, in order to construct a matrix for our price prediction scenario models, we're just talking about, or we're just going to pick some realistic Bitcoin dominance percentages that we could see the market peak at this market cycle, right? So we're currently at about 60% Bitcoin dominance. Now, in the short term, I do believe that that could go up as Bill was talking about, and Bitcoin could outrun altcoins. But at the peak of the market, should we consider to see trillions of dollars pour into the total cryptocurrency market cap, I don't think that Bitcoin dominance at the peak of the market will be any higher than it is right now at about 60%. And the reason I think that is because historically, the market, Bitcoin's price has peaked with a lower dominance because altcoins like to chase Bitcoin as well. So my high scenario for Bitcoin dominance this market cycle is 60%. Should we see the market, the total cryptocurrency market continue to play out in a bullish market cycle? Now, we could see altcoin dominance come in and altcoin season come in and push this Bitcoin dominance lower. And I've built in scenarios all the way down to this trend line here, down to 50%, 40%, and 30%. All right. Then we've also got our three total cryptocurrency market cap scenarios, which if you've watched any videos on the Token Metrics YouTube channel, or you tuned into the last week's or 2 weeks ago, the live stream, you've seen this chart before. This is just the total cryptocurrency market cap. Currently, we're on a very aggressive trajectory up towards hitting $5 trillion in total cryptocurrency market cap by sometime in late July. We're currently at about $1.7 trillion in total cryptocurrency market cap, and we continue to climb. Now, historically, the total cryptocurrency market cap has been going up on a linear trend line on a logarithmic chart, which equates to exponential growth in the cryptocurrency space. So the cryptocurrency space as a whole has been growing exponentially over time, but occasionally it gets these massive bubbles where it becomes overvalued and Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies become overbought against the trend line. These are bull markets. Back in 2013 and 2014, it was 1,600% overvalued against the trend line. Back in 2017 and 2018, when Bitcoin hit its all-time high of 19,600, it was about 2,600% overvalued against the trend line, the total cryptocurrency space. Now we're on a trajectory where if we continued all the way up to $10 trillion by sometime late July, maybe in August, we would only be 1,400% overvalued against the trend line. So I do think while $10 trillion in total cryptocurrency market cap is a bullish scenario, I do think it's realistic and possible if this market starts to go parabolic like it has in the past. Now, I wouldn't want to get much more bullish than that. I wouldn't want to take into account a 20 trillion or even a $25 trillion market cap because I think that would be getting way too ahead of ourselves. I don't know that we'll see a 2,600% overvaluation against this trend line again, especially if we start moving fast. All right, so if we take our market dominances for Bitcoin, our market dominance scenarios for Bitcoin between 30 and 60%, and then we multiply them out by our total cryptocurrency market caps, and then divide by our total supply of Bitcoin. And I have taken into account the fact that about 900 new Bitcoin per day enter the market, and extrapolated that out to that inflation out to about July or August. It's only going to affect us a few dollars in either direction, a few fractions of a percent in either direction, but it did include inflation in this model. So our most bearish scenario would be that we've essentially already hit the top and we're just going to see a big alt season run. And that would force Bitcoin down to about $48,000, but the total cryptocurrency market cap would continue to rise to about $3 trillion, most of which would be going into altcoins. I don't think that's the scenario that's going to play out at all. But in the scenario model, that's our bottom parameter. Now, our most bullish scenario would be a $10 trillion market cap and Bitcoin fully maintaining the 60% dominance that it currently has and not really giving an inch to altcoins. And this is a scenario more like I think Bill was talking about earlier, where we would see all of the new money or most of the new money come into altcoins and Bitcoin at roughly an even ratio, but favoring Bitcoin. And Bitcoin would be holding its market dominance at 60%. That would result in roughly a $319,000, $320,000 Bitcoin. Now, I have heard predictions in that range. I think that is probably the absolute most bullish prediction for me, most bullish scenario for me personally for Bitcoin. I've heard predictions of a super cycle of Bitcoin going to 500K or $1 million. Now, personally, based off of the numbers and the charts and the scenarios that we've built in here, I don't think that those are realistic scenarios. I don't think we're doing ourselves any favors by hoping that Bitcoin goes to 500K or $1 million. Could it maybe happen? Yes, but we would want to see more from Bitcoin in the short term. We would want to see Bitcoin go to 200 or 300K before we can even consider it going to 500K or $1 million, right? For me personally, if you had to ask me what my prediction was for Bitcoin this market cycle, I would say $133,000 a peak. I would say that altcoins in the long term, and of course, Bitcoin may take off here and force altcoins down, altcoin dominance down, like Bill was talking about. But by the time the market peaks, if we get a $5 trillion total cryptocurrency market cap, which is a little bit over 2.5 times where we're currently at, I think $133,000 Bitcoin is quite reasonable, if not pretty likely, right? That would be forcing Bitcoin dominance down to 50%. Altcoin dominance would be coming up from 40% to 50%. And that would put Bitcoin at $133,000. Now, I do think some of these other scenarios are completely valid and worth looking into. But if you just had to ask me for my opinion, I think $133,000 Bitcoin is reasonable this market cycle. So this is just that same data fitted to a chart rather than a table. We've got our $10 trillion scenario up here, our $5 trillion scenario in yellow, and our more conservative scenario of $3 trillion in market cap this market cycle in red down here. Now, we also have our corresponding Bitcoin dominance scenarios down at the bottom here. Now, I just wanted to go over 2 or 3 charts really quickly to talk about why I think Bitcoin could be poised to go parabolic and why I think that these scenarios that I've modeled out could be somewhat accurate based off of some other charts. This is the stock to flow model. And I know that the stock to flow model, there's a lot of disagreement about whether or not it should accurately be applied to Bitcoin. I believe that we're in a time where it could be becoming more accurate over time. I've superimposed these trend lines here that shows that the variance of the model is decreasing and the model is actually extremely accurate right now. We're exactly on it. Now, over time in the long term, as we move towards the next bull market cycle, I think that the corresponding numbers for Bitcoin, reach $1 million, $10 million in the future, that we could see variance, especially to the downside, in that the model could be overestimating Bitcoin's price. But I did want to talk about the variance that we've seen in Bitcoin's price over the projected stock to flow model. In 2014 or 2013, it was 7x over the projected stock to flow model. We saw that cut in half last market cycle to 3.5x. And if we saw that cut in half again to 1.75x this market cycle, that would put Bitcoin at a peak price of $147,000, which is pretty in line with the scenarios that we just predicted. Now, if we saw a 3.5x variance again, overshooting this by 3.5x like we did last market cycle, that would be our closer to 300K Bitcoin scenario. Now, 2 more charts really quick. We've got our percent monthly increase of the 200-week moving average. All right. And this is just showing to me that we might not be anywhere close to the top yet. Right. So this is just measuring how fast the 200-week moving average is going up. And you can see recently we just got our first greenish yellow dot. Now, historically, Bitcoin peaks with a red dot on this chart. All right. So we're getting to the point where last market cycle, we went parabolic. Remember that pattern that I showed you from 2017 in one of the first slides that is repeating itself. We're seeing a similar shade or percent speed increase of the 200-week moving average now that we were seeing back in that time right before we went parabolic in 2017. Now, lastly, I just want to look at this chart of the Bitcoin reserve risk. Now, historically, the Bitcoin reserve risk, and the Bitcoin reserve risk is just the ratio of the price of Bitcoin or the incentive to sell Bitcoin versus hodler strength. And hodler strength by Glassnode, I believe, is just measured by the number of days that Bitcoin has been stagnant in a hodler's wallet, right? So eventually, the price gets so high that a lot of hodlers decide to take profits because the incentive to sell and take profits is so high. Now, that incentive or this relationship of reserve risk historically has peaked when Bitcoin's price has peaked. It's been in this red range right here. We are not currently in that red range. I believe that we still have quite a ways to go on Bitcoin before the hodlers decide to take profits. And when the hodlers decide to take profits, that's when Bitcoin has probably peaked. All right, so that's my Bitcoin realistic price scenario model. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. So if you enjoyed that price prediction, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Okay, all right. The comments have been very, very active. Thank you all for being engaged. Okay, so let me pull up the screen here. Just give me 1 second. It's time for us to segue to question of the day. So question of the day is, go to menti.com, menti.com, use the code 2102-4399. That's 2102-4399. Question of the day is, Bitcoin is having its best Q1 in 8 years. What do you think about the Q2 for Bitcoin? So the options are, I think both Bitcoin and alts will rally. Next option, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, but not so bullish on altcoins. Third option, I think Bitcoin will rally and may pause, but I'm bullish on alts. So basically, you think Bitcoin may likely go sideways. Then last option, I'm bearish on Bitcoin in Q2. So those are the 4 options. So tell us what you think. Go and make your voices heard. Bill and Forrest, kind of maybe do a quick recap again. So looking into Q2, what do you expect for Bitcoin?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So I think, obviously, from what I just talked about, I'm pretty bullish on it, but I do think we're at a key inflection point. And to Bill's work, I think he's absolutely right, where you have to be cautious on altcoins right now. I think being too overextended in altcoins is dangerous. And just because we're at this inflection point, if we hold support on it, we could see Bitcoin and the rest of the market go parabolic. But what happens if we don't hold support? What happens if we break down to 42K and below 42K for Bitcoin? What does that do to altcoins in the short term and the long term? So I'm cautiously bullish. And if we do hold, I do think there's a chance that we could see a parabolic run up like we did back in 2017. But again, emphasis on the caution.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. Bill, what do you think?
All right, we have a lot of new internal tools at Token Metrics. One of them is TA based. It was actually helped our guys build it. This particular indicator went negative on some of the bigger altcoins that I talked about. Now, since I helped build and test this thing, when these signals popped up, I took them seriously. The idea of big altcoins going down is something you have to consider. I saw a comment that says, it sounds like Bill's taking both sides of the fence. Yes and no, right? My answer is the most bullish potential is in Bitcoin. Okay? Altcoins are showing weakness, and you better check your P&L and make sure that, frankly, you're not being a pig. Bulls make money, bears make money, pigs or people that don't take profits or get too greedy can get hurt. Now, that's a crass saying, I know. And I know that there are a lot of positive catalysts for Ethereum, say maybe come this summer. But I think Q2 may wind up going to Bitcoin.
All right, thank you, Bill. I would say I have to agree. I think obviously we're all bullish on crypto long term, but with the levels of where Bitcoin and alts have been, and also looking at what our models on tokenmetrics.com is saying, I think we have to be very, very cautious. We're bullish, but cautious heading into Q2, meaning that as soon as we see, because right now with our models, they're heavily towards stablecoins. So that makes us somewhat cautious. We're not saying go out there and sell everything, but when we see our models shifting into stablecoins, and when we see our new feature that we'll cover on this live stream, we'll have lots of large cap altcoins turn bearish. It basically piques our curiosity and makes us really pay attention. So that being said, I would say I'm also very, very cautious. Okay, all right. So let's see what the audience has to say. Just give me. Okay, so the audience has voted. The winner is, I think, both Bitcoin and alts will rally. So the audience is very, 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 very bullish. So tell us what you think. Do you think the audience is right? Second option, or second winner was, I think Bitcoin will rally, may pause, but I'm bullish on altcoins. And third was, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, but not so confident on altcoins. And the bears came in last. So the audience does not want to hear anything about bears right now. So let us know. Is the audience right? Post your answer down below. Okay, all right. So let's now pivot to thought of the week. Uniswap version 3 was announced last week. Are you excited? The options are 1, yes, it's worth the wait. The second option, not really. I was expecting more. So go to menti.com, menti.com. Use the code 21024399. So fellas, what are your thoughts on Uniswap v3? Do you think the hype is real? Forrest?
Yeah, so I was a little from a retail LP perspective, right? So people that don't have millions of dollars to provide liquidity with. I was a little bit disappointed and underwhelmed in Uniswap version 3. And I say that as somebody who bought a big bag of Uniswap version 3 right before this announcement came out, or before they provided more details. In the short term, it's made me more bullish on Bancor. And the reason it's made me more bullish on Bancor is because I think smaller or more or retail LPs that are maybe dealing with providing liquidity in amounts between 10,000 and maybe a few $100,000 aren't going to be as interested in the concentrated liquidity portion of Uniswap version 3, where you can provide liquidity just for certain price ranges. I think those people are going to be more interested in the Bancor impermanent loss solution, right? I think those people are going to be more worried about impermanent loss if this bull market just continues to rally, and they don't want to be left behind with massive amounts of impermanent loss, especially if they're providing liquidity to a US a stablecoin pair like DAI ETH or DAI wrapped Bitcoin, right? So I think for the big players that are providing a lot of liquidity, this concentrated liquidity thing is awesome. It's really cool. It's going to make capital more efficient, capital allocation more efficient, and people are going to be able to provide just to a certain price range and then adjust that again when the price changes. But those price changes for smaller retail liquidity providers could add up. The gas fees could add up, right? So I think the smaller players are going to be pushed more towards Bancor, maybe.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Bill?
Okay, so the big question is, what is the value of Uniswap, right? How do you value Uniswap as an exchange? Obviously, I've already discussed, comparing it and looking at Coinbase. From hearing the update from Forrest, it sounds like Uniswap is trying to transition and pivot to be something that the big guys can play on so they don't get left behind in the event Coinbase and players like Binance wind up with a war chest of money trying to lure people to their platforms. So I think Uniswap is maybe leaving the little guy behind, but they may have to because they know the big guys are coming. For example, Novogratz backing 1inch. Okay. Everyone is not going to win in this space. So I see it as Uniswap kind of like holding up its shield, trying to protect itself and trying to protect its sort of leading name brand in the space. Now, all that said, this makes the price action in Uniswap, say over the next 2 weeks, all the more important. What I think about Uniswap version 3 doesn't matter. Forrest knows the fundamentals, but in terms of, how do you value Uniswap? That is going to be determined by Mr. Market. I notice Sushi is currently getting hammered as we speak, down about 5%. And I will just reiterate what I was talking about earlier. I do not want to see Uniswap go much lower. I do not want to see it make a new low for the move. It's going to trip some of our models and signal Mr. Market voting thumbs down on version 3. Not totally thumbs down, but again, the altcoin market is very dependent on Uniswap, the token, and the name brand remaining powerful. Anything that hurts Uni hurts alts.
All right, thank you, Bill. So I brought up the blog post announcement here on version 3. So I think this is very, very innovative, but also very, it's a bold leap of faith on their part, right? Because from a technology standpoint, let me scroll down here. For those who maybe missed the announcement, if you just go to their blog post, I'll just search for the V3 announcement. Let me kind of go down here and showcase this image, right? So for those who don't know, with V2, the issue you had was really impermanent loss. Now, they haven't fully solved it from my understanding, but however, they have given the LP more control in terms of where exactly they want to provide liquidity, meaning that it's going from just kind of applying liquidity across the entire spectrum of the curve to now have you as the LP, you as the liquidity provider can take a sniper approach and pinpoint exactly what price points, what price range you would like to have liquidity. And I think this is very, very innovative. But to me, what really stood out even more was somewhere down here at the bottom. Let me see if I can pull this up here. The license agreement. Right? So basically, they're doing what's called a business source license, meaning that anybody who wants to use this open source technology or code has to, for any commercial or business purpose, has to wait 2 years until they can use it. Now, that kind of goes against the ethos of open source and crypto and DeFi, but I totally get where they're coming from. Because last time they put out technology or code that was open source, SushiSwap just took the entire technology and code, forked them, and now at one point I think had more total locked assets than Uni did, which does scare them as a VC-backed company. So I can totally see why they would put this. And I'm curious to see how the open source cryptocurrency community will respond to this. Will they respect this? Will they completely ignore this and still fork their code? But I think this will be very, very interesting in the sense that, let's say a project like SushiSwap or any other project forks V3, makes their own DEX. Will a centralized exchange list that forked coin? Will Binance or Coinbase list the legal ramifications of possibly being sued by Uniswap for listing a project that has stolen and violated their license? Because I know even GitHub also has legal concerns where they won't upload or host any code that's violating any license. So this is a very, very interesting fork in the road in a way, the entire cryptocurrency DeFi movement. So for me, I'm very, very interested to see how other projects respond to this. Is this the start of something new? Is this the start of a trend? Because on the other hand, Uniswap themselves really were inspired by Bancor, because Bancor was really the first AMM, and Uniswap really kind of took their entire formula and I think part of the code and built something even better. So that's kind of my take on that. But let's go back here and see what people have to say. And the winner is not really. I was expecting more. So people were expecting a lot more from V3. Let us know what you think. Do you think the audience is wrong? Do you think they're right? Let us know why down below. So a few comments here from the audience. Jan says, SushiSwap is now on Polygon and can offer lower fees, while Uniswap is held back by the Optimus delay. Very true, but at the end of the day, though, Polygon, while faster, nobody's really, or no assets are on QuickSwap, in my knowledge, compared to layer 1 dexes at the moment, such as Uniswap and SushiSwap. All right, so thank you for that insight. Let's now continue the show. Okay, so time for Crypto Showdown. Okay, so go to menti.com, menti.com, use the code 2102-4399, Crypto Showdown, top altcoin picks for April. We have 3 altcoins. These altcoins have already been on a tear. Will they continue? Which one has the best or the most upside? The options are 1, Audius, ticker symbol audio. Disclosure, I hold that. So does Forrest as well. I'm not sure if Bill holds that yet, or if it does. Then we also have Harmony, ticker symbol 1, and we have Theta Network, ticker symbol Theta. Those are the 3 options. Go and tell us what you think. Which of these 3 altcoins do you think have the most upside? Let's go to Bill. Bill, if you had to go through all these 3 altcoins from a tier perspective, which one do you think has most upside?
All right, let's talk about that. So I did not get into Audius for a very specific reason. I want to be able to be the guy internally who pound the table on Audius without owning it, because the story is that compelling. So let's talk TA first on Harmony. Clearly, the bounce off 17 cents implies Harmony could go to 27 cents. All right. Now, when it comes to Audius, we've already covered this in a way, but let's talk about it maybe on a log scale. Whoops. I have somebody inside Token Metrics who is looking into what Audius, I'm going to unshare my screen here, what Audius could be worth if you compared it to 2 things. 1, Spotify before its IPO in 2018. 2, what Apple was valued at 1 year prior to iPhone, which is a nice way of saying Apple at the peak of the iPod and iTunes movement. Now, if you look at those 2 numbers, which I don't have yet, the analyst is working on it, I suspect, especially the valuation of Spotify before it IPO'd, I would claim that Audius could be a case of what's called reflexivity. This comes from a guy named George Soros, a very high-end hedge fund player. Now, if you pick up a market book and read about stocks, this is what it'll say. It'll say the stock market will give you a measure, or it will try to predict what earnings are going to be, say, 6 months out. Reflexivity states that the economy, the stock market, is a function of the stock market. So price goes up first, and then companies earn money, and then the economy grows. Not the economy grows, then the market goes up. So it's almost like the market can create its own reality. Now, with Audius, one of the things I think could be radical. So again, in research, you get paid for imagination. Audius could be a coin at $1.40 that goes to $4, and that's the end. Well, what if it's not? What if Audius moons so much that it actually draws people to the music. The same way NFTs mooning, Pokemon cards mooning drew everybody from Patrick Mahomes to the NBA into the NFT space. So Audius could rally to the point where everyone starts asking, hey, what's Audius? Don't believe me? Well, who would have thought 6 months ago that Theta, or even 3 months ago, that Theta would be a top 10 coin? We've seen strangers. If Cardano can go from 10 cents to $1.50, you have to watch out for what Audius can do, particularly if buyers show up at 3. So I would say Audius.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Let's go to Forrest. Out of the 3 coins, Audius, Harmony, and Theta, which ones are you bullish on?
Yeah, so I'm going to twist the question a little bit because I think my pick is Audius. And it's not because I think it's going to perform the best out of these 3 coins in April, although it might. I think it's the best potential buy in April. Audius has a huge obstacle in front of it, and that's a large amount of tokens vesting, I believe, on April 1st. From what I've read, it just says April quarterly, right? So I'm assuming April 1st, but it could be in the first week of April. And that's going to be a supply shock that could cause Audius or audio token to decrease in price. Now, it might be that people just don't care and they just eat that supply shock if the rest of the market is bullish or if the narrative is strong enough for Audius. But I do think that there could be a very big buying opportunity for Audius in April. And it's a project that I'm bullish on long term. I think Audius is the Theta trade if you missed Theta. And I'm somebody who missed Theta completely. Now, reading about Theta and understanding what they're trying to accomplish in the video streaming area makes me extremely bullish on Theta as well. But I do believe that there's potential that for Theta to be overextended right now. It's in the top 10. And to be quite honest, I don't really know if it belongs in the top 10. I think it's a phenomenal project, and maybe it does belong in the top 10. That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure. I don't know yet. For me, I wouldn't be touching Theta right now. Theta is on my list of missed projects that I will be aggressively accumulating in a bear market. I would personally rather buy Theta for $20 or $30 in a bear market after it's been to $200 in the bull market, and it proves itself that it belongs in the top 10, then buy it for $12 to $14 right now at its all-time high. That might be a weird way to think, but that's just logically how I go about it. Harmony could be over. It's a scalability solution, and we're seeing scalability solutions perform extremely well. But how much more runway do they have? I'm not sure. I think it's probably going to perform quite well in April, as long as the market performs. But it is a little bit overextended as well. For me, I think my pick for April is Audius because it could get hammered by the supply shock, and it could be a good time to pick some up.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. So I'm actually going to go to token metrics real quick. So looking at this here, let me just switch this real quick. Okay, so looking at the grades here, if we go to Theta, actually, let me switch to monthly. So Theta for monthly, its score is actually going down. So we have about 67% score for Theta. And if we go to Harmony, and if we go to monthly, we have 64%. Now, Audius is relatively new. That one, we don't really have a grade for that yet from a quant perspective. But I do personally own Audius myself. I'm very bullish on it. But I think what Forrest mentioned in terms of the token unlock, I think you have to kind of be very cautious of that coming in. But if you're a long-term investor, then to me, there's more upside long-term in Audius because Audius has a lower market cap. Harmony is a great project. It's been doing very well. I'm actually kind of surprised how well it's been doing recently. But it's been around since 2018, Binance IEO, and we all knew it was good. But I think right now, in terms of actual adoption, with Audius getting ready to possibly do music NFTs, when NFTs are very, very hot. I saw last night SNL had a skit on NFTs. So the fact that if they can really launch music NFTs, I think that's something that the mainstream masses can easily adopt a lot faster than any of these other projects, right? From Theta, even though Theta is top 10, I think, as people are mentioning, I think it's basically overbought. For me, in terms of upside, I think I would still rather be in audience myself. So with that being said, let's go and see what the audience has to say. Okay, so drum rolls, please. And the winner of Crypto Showdown between Audius, Harmony, and Theta Network is Audius. So clean sweep. People love Audius and audio. So let's see here what we have to say. If there are any questions on there. Okay, somebody, Dixie is saying there's important news being released soon. Okay, I'm not sure what the news is. Okay, then Shruti says, I don't think Theta belongs there. It's overvalued. All right, so tell us what you think. Do you think the audience is right? Do you think they're low? Tell us down below. Okay, one last comment here from Danish. Sold ADS at $2, hoping this supply shock creates it so I can pick some up. Well, I mean, that's why I think it helps to be a long-term hodler, long-term investor. If you panic sell very quickly in crypto, you'll have lots of regrets, because in crypto everything is volatile. All right, so tell us what you think down below. Thank you everybody, and be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. And by the way, stay tuned for the end of the show. We have two big announcements, two big updates. You definitely don't want to miss this. Two big updates coming to Token Metrics, and these are game changers. No hype, real game changers. Very, very excited to showcase. This is something the community has been asking for, customers have been asking for a long time. So stay tuned. Make sure you watch the whole stream. Okay, all right. So time to segue to crypto therapy. If you have any questions you'd like to submit, send us a voicemail. Call 1-888-90-TOKEN. That's 1-888-908-6536. Submit your voicemail. Ask me, Forrest, and Bill any question in crypto. Obviously not financial advice. Any question in crypto that you want us to help you answer, and we'll go through and answer those questions. Okay? All right, so just give me a few seconds here as I pull up the voicemails.
BJ on the beat.
Okay, so here's the first question.
I had a quick question
Sorry,
about.
give me 1 second here.
Hi guys, thank you. I had a quick question about fractionalized NFTs. Hester Pierce from the SEC came out recently and said, selling fractionalized shares may be illegal. What are your all's thoughts? I think it's a potential huge market if they are able to sell fractionalized NFTs. But what kind of hurdles do you guys foresee? Thank you.
Okay, were you guys able to hear that, Bill and Forrest?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So question is, fractional NFTs, could they be illegal? Well, I mean, if fractional NFTs are illegal, we have a huge problem, because not just in crypto, but even in equities, right? Because Robinhood, and I think even Sophie, there are lots of platforms out there that provide fractional purchasing of cryptocurrencies. But if we're talking about NFTs, that's something different. I'm not sure if there's any cryptocurrencies or any crypto platforms that do that. Forrest or Bill?
All right, so NFTs are going to be considered art, and I don't think the SEC cares about art itself. However, the SEC might care about a bubble in art and the general public getting sucked in, buying shares of something that with very nebulous value. Okay. So I do think fractional NFTs will happen, but I think they will happen with big players like Flow. I think if you start to see a mania where, the little guy gets fleeced, that could lead to regulatory scrutiny. Now, that said, NFTs are fun. NFTs got to Saturday Night Live because we're in a pandemic, and in many ways, life sucks, right? So let's have a little fun. So hopefully they can figure out how to get the Pokemon cards, the videos, the drawings. You know, I'd like to have my own baseball card one day. Let's hope that we can get the little guy involved, because crypto is getting so big. It would be nice if you had the fractional NFTs so somebody could look at their MetaMask and have a little fun.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Forrest?
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer, but I have noticed a pattern where everything in the cryptocurrency industry goes through this pattern of being subject to people worrying about it becoming illegal. First, it was Bitcoin. Bitcoin was going to be outlawed. Then it was smart contract networks like Ethereum. Then it's DeFi. Then how can you stop DeFi? I don't think you can. Now it's NFTs, right? If you can't stop DeFi, how do you stop certain types of NFTs? Now, NFTs are extremely broad. There's a project, I believe it's called Labs Group. I think it went out on the newsletter on Saturday on our watch list. It's a project that's wrapping up real estate investments into NFTs and then fractionalizing those NFTs. So instead of having to invest $5 million in a real estate investment, which the little guy can't afford to do, they can fractionalize that $5 million real estate investment by rolling it into an NFT, fractionalizing that NFT. And now you can buy a couple $1,000s worth of that real estate investment and get that exposure. So NFTs are extremely broad. NFTs range from real estate to music to video streaming to videos to actual physical goods, right? So NFTs are very broad. How you outlaw all of that, I'm not sure.
Okay, so a comment here. Somebody's saying they were claiming it would be a security. Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, I do get that perspective, because the reason why NFTs, obviously, this is not legal advice and we're not lawyers, but the reasons why NFTs, for the most part right now, are not called securities is because you're basically owning one of one. And I think once you begin to create fractional ownerships or shares of that, it's kind of like taking something and turning that into a security, right? Because this kind of reminds me of the Howey test, right? Where some farmer took basically his orange groves, basically oranges, and he actually made fractional parts of it. He sold fractional shares of it, fractional shares of the farming, and he sold that to buyers. And the SEC said that was a security, even though they were oranges. The fact that he was trying to create different shares and give people dividends for doing all the work, all the labor, I think that's where things could possibly become securities, but not really a security expert, so we'll leave that to the regulators. But it's definitely worth looking into. But for now, I would not personally worry about it until there's actual regulation around that. But thank you, caller, for that question. Let's take a few more calls here. Just give me 1 second.
Ian, Bill, Forrest. Hey, Ian, Bill, Forrest. Thank you so much for what you guys do. Do you mind going over RGT and Vesper Finance? I'm debating on which of these two I should invest in, as well as what would be good entry points. Thank you so much.
All right. Great question. Thank you. So basically, he's trying to determine between Vesper Finance and Rari Capital. Both of those are two yield aggregators that we have shared with our audience they've both scored over 80% on the code reviews. So solid products from a technology standpoint. I personally, myself, have Vesper Finance. The reasons why I chose Vesper, I was going through their tokenomics and I just love them. I think what they've done, you can basically yield farm or stake with Vesper and not go through impermanent loss, which is, I think, pretty innovative, because the assets they're lending out, it's kind of technical how they do it, but you aren't going through any impermanent loss. And the other reason why I also like Vesper as well, it was just a lower market cap. Rari was good, great technology as well, but I felt I kind of missed that train. And I saw Vesper as something that had a lower market cap and was more undervalued. But both of them are solid projects. Okay, I see somebody has that here. Is that Forrest or Bill? Any of you guys want to?
I have Rari.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so with Rari, this may be an example of where people got overexcited and got a case of indigestion. So Rari ran up pretty quick from 0 to 20, about 2 weeks, right? Then it took another shot. And if you see this area in the triangle, you know, that could be where smart money, you know, distributed it to retail, meaning guys who got in really low sold it to people who came in late. My understanding about Rari is that it's good, but are other projects out there like Alpha that one of our analysts says has better tokenomics. So I don't want to say Rari is played out, but I do think you have to let this recent correction settle down at least 2 or 3 days before you think about getting in on something like this. Ian pretty much covered, you know, the token metrics view of Vesper. So I'll leave that alone. I do think that there's better tokenomics than Rari, although I do like a bunch of 18-year-olds trying to disrupt the market. I believe that's the story there. I just don't think you need to chase anything right this second.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, so I just took a small allocation towards Rari Capital after the deep dive report from our other analyst and Solidity developer, Brad, came out. And he's an extremely smart person. And when you listen to an extremely smart person talk about their bullishness and their affinity for a project such as Rari Capital, it's hard not to, I think it's probably not smart not to listen to him. So I did take a small allocation on Rari Capital, and then Vesper Finance came along after that. And I said, well, I've already got some exposure to a yield aggregating, a small cap yield aggregation project. I'm just going to sit tight with Rari Capital for now. And I didn't jump on Vesper Finance. Of course, Vesper has performed really well, and it's a great project. But for me, I'm holding out on Rari Capital for now.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. Okay, so let's take one last call for Crypto Therapy. If you're enjoying this segment, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Okay, next question.
Hi guys, thank you for the show. Great show. I just wanted to ask a question about what Ray Dalio just said. He said that a lot of people are not giving a big probability for Bitcoin to be outlawed in the US. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts about this.
Okay, thank you, caller. Let's go to Bill.
All right. So am I to understand that Dalio came out and said something to the effect of, you know, Bitcoin may wind up getting outlawed?
Yes, basically.
Okay. That sounds like a classic hedge fund strategy of saying something bearish so it'll go down so you can buy it. It's the oldest trick in the hedge fund book. It's one of the reasons why, I mean, I can imagine a day when a guy like Dalio would come out and say they're going to make this illegal, and Bitcoin would have just totally, you know, Bitcoin would have gone down 15% that day. Now, do I think Bitcoin is the greatest cryptocurrency out there? No. Do I think big players have to own it? Right? You cannot watch this thing as an institution go from 20 to 60 and then just blow it off and say, I don't want to be involved because regulators are going to make it illegal. People are going to have to get involved. And again, my concern for the altcoin space is that there is a big news item in Bitcoin that has it lurch up. There's nothing wrong with alts. There are some negative trading signals, but I don't know. It's not keeping me up at night. I'm more afraid of Bitcoin going up, mainly because Bitcoin didn't go down after Dalio said what he said. I mean, Dalio's a famous guy. I mean, he wrote his memoir in a self-help book. It's like 600 pages. I mean, it's on every it's on every executive's desk in the country. So this is not he's not a dumb guy. So I think he's trying to get involved, and I think it's bullish for the crypto space.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I mean, I'll basically agree. Obviously, Ray Dalio has been late to Bitcoin and crypto, and Bitcoin is really decentralized. And I think the way things are going right now, with public companies adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, I think it's going to be even tougher for regulators to try to ban this. And now with Fidelity putting in an application for an ETF, I mean, the market is showing and voting that they want Bitcoin. They like Bitcoin. So I think it will be so out of touch for regulators to completely outlaw Bitcoin. I mean, maybe in a third world country with dictators, but in a democracy where people can be voted in and out of power, if the people want Bitcoin, the people will get Bitcoin, right? Kind of the same way with cannabis. Like, cannabis was banned for a while, but after a while, I mean, regulators knew that they'll be voted out if they didn't vote, because the people wanted to make cannabis legal here in the U.S. Like, even this week, I believe Cuomo, right? Cuomo, who's having issues and people are trying to boot him out, I believe, put in or told the press that he plans to legalize cannabis in New York State. So I think this is a wave that is eventually going to happen, right? I think Bill has a quote, or is it Novogratz has a quote saying that one is what? What's the quote, Bill? Could you repeat
right.
that?
Right. So Novogratz says if one person does it, it's not as powerful as when the second person does it, because then it becomes a movement, right?
Yeah.
In other words, Novogratz and guys like that were like maybe the first movers, but then when Saylor did it and then other guys followed, right? Then it became a movement, and that's something that it's a polite way of saying everybody's got to get on board, right? Now, just one quick word on Dalio. He may be reflecting concerns that regulators may be a little worried about how people get Bitcoin, about crypto onboarding. In other words, regulators may want to see a day where they have transparency in stable coins as to how people get to Bitcoin. All right. But make no mistake, Bitcoin, crypto, any way you want to say it, it's a movement. My brothers are out. My brother is out there. My friends are out there. I text 2 or 3 people before the start of the show. One person texted me and told me to straighten my glasses. They're watching the show. Crypto is a movement.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So I quickly want to go back to the Vesper versus Rari Capital question. So actually, I think somebody here in the comments mentioned this. Let me see if I can find their comment. Yeah, I think Shruti, thank you for bringing this up here, right? Vesper has huge TVL, total value locked. Check DeFi pulse. So looking at this, Vesper has been on a tear. So right now they're ranked 11th in all of DeFi in terms of total value locked up. And if you filter by assets, they're now ranked number 1, surpassing Badger DAO, Ren VM, Harvest Finance, even Yearn Finance. I mean, I'm not sure what happened to Yearn. Yearn has been crashing, basically. But I think that shows confidence. I think people are kind of discovering the value of Vesper. So definitely worth looking into that. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, all right. Well, thank you everyone for Crypto Therapy. If you enjoyed that segment, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. Let's now go. Okay, let's answer a question here from the forum. So using BNT is taking rewards on liquidity. Okay, hello. I'm very interested in providing liquidity through Bancor now that they have solved impermanent loss. I would want to stake up to 50% of my portfolio, but I'm not sure if there's risk that I am unaware of. The staking rewards are amazing. Okay, so are there any other risks in terms of staking? Well, I would say the obvious risk is just smart contract risk, possibly getting hacked. There are ways to cover that through getting cover or insurance, whether through my favorite platform, Amor, or through others like Nexus Mutual. But I think that's definitely something you can do. But Bancor is one of those more well-respected projects where obviously nothing is guaranteed, but it's less likely that a hack would happen, but still worth looking into that, especially if you're going to be depositing large assets. Forrest, are you an LP for Bancor? I think you mentioned earlier, right? You're using it?
Yeah, I am. And I think you covered the risk portion of it. It's essentially smart contract risk. But in a bull market where you can see these assets, these individual cryptocurrencies just completely moon and leave, other ones in the dust, especially right now with Ethereum being such a popular pair for providing liquidity, and Ethereum, underperforming against the rest of the market. So if you paired it with, if you provided liquidity in an ETH pool with something that's performed extremely well, you've probably seen some impermanent loss there. So I would say impermanent loss is one of the larger risks when it comes to providing liquidity, especially in a bull market. And the fact that Bancor solved that makes me feel that Bancor is one of the best places to provide liquidity in a bull market.
All right. Thanks, Forrest. Bill, any comments on your end?
Yes, briefly. Don't do any one thing with 50% of your portfolio. Right? As soon as I heard the question, I knew that the details of impermanent loss would be left to my colleagues. You have to be careful of the unknown unknowns, right? That thing that, you don't know that you don't know. So stick to more reasonable numbers as an experiment. Always protect yourself and diversify yourself. Just as a reminder, the legacy financial system has gotten tested multiple times. There have been events that have tested the integrity of the system. I'm really not anticipating that for DeFi, but one day DeFi as a system is going to get tested. And you're not going to sleep very well if you have half your money in one place. So just be careful.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I mean, great point. Practice proper risk management. I personally myself never put half of anything, even for staking or yield farming, even when the gains are amazing. Because as we mentioned, besides impermanent loss, projects do get hacked. I mean, even the best projects, even projects with great code reviews get hacked, right? Because anything is possible in crypto. I mean, because even the DAO on Ethereum got hacked back in 2016. And in DeFi, they've been hacked almost every single month. So you want to be cautious. I personally don't put more than 20-25% of any position into any staking or liquidity pool. So definitely be cautious, especially if you're putting in large amounts. Also get insurance, right? Because with me, I put in, let's say 25%, and then I have all of that insured through Amor, right? So definitely make sure you're practicing proper risk management. Okay. Drum rolls, please. So to everybody who's been patient enough to wait for this segment, it's time for crypto how-to. And in this crypto how-to, we're going to go through how to time the crypto market and knowing when to buy and sell. And this is going to tie into a different segment, actually, because we mentioned earlier that there are two big announcements we want to share with our audience. This is something all of you, our customers, you've been waiting for a long time. Let me pull up the slides here. You've been waiting for a long time for this because we talked about this all the way since December. But making this a reality has been more challenging than we expected. But we think now that it's ready, we think it's definitely worth the wait, right? So I want to talk about two big features coming to our customers. Thank you, everybody. If you're a customer to Token Metrics, thank you for the wait. So the first big feature coming, 6,000 tokens. So actually, let me play the...
We just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
So, we've been talking about this for a long time. Right now on Token Metrics, if you go to... Let me actually pull this up here. If you go to the ratings page, so right now, this is on the test server, which is not public. But this week, I would say probably around Tuesday or Wednesday, because right now our development team is taking Monday off. But basically, on this coming week, we'll have several live streams to kind of celebrate the launch, but we'll be scaling from 600 assets on Token Metrics to 6,000 assets. I mean, that's going to be huge. That's 10x the number of coins, all automated with the quant grade, with everything. And this is something our customers have been asking for. So very, very excited for this. And the good news is we'll also be making changes to the different plans. So right now, the hard load plan gets the top 20 market cap. So the changes that we'll make, hard load plan will get access to the top 100 market cap coins. And then the investor plan will get an upgrade from top 100 to top 500 market cap coins. So a 5x improvement for both the hodler plan and the investor plan. And the pro plan will have access to all 6,000 assets. This is going to be huge. But wait, there's more. So that's the first big announcement. So if you like that big announcement, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, share this with your friends. And if you're not a customer yet, be sure to subscribe, because by the end of the month, we'll be, unfortunately, changing our pricing because we're giving you even more value. So if you want to lock in the price and get grandfathered in, now is the time. We highly recommend you do it this week, because if you wait, then you'll be out of luck, right? But the other announcement, which is even bigger, the trends indicator, the visual trends indicator will be launching this coming week. What are the trends indicator? So imagine being able to have our AI models go through, obviously not financial advice, but tell you when it's bearish and bullish. So essentially you want to buy and sell, right? When the model itself would buy and sell. This is something people have been asking for, right? I know there are lots of indicators out there, but this is different in the sense that it's not using just regular moving averages. It's using our machine learning. Our quant team, our data science team has gone through and tested this. And we're using, in a way, what's called a dynamic moving average, meaning that this moving average adapts to the rallies. Because the idea behind this moving average is it's meant to help you capture the large rallies. But the best way to do this is just to show you, right? So let's pull this up here. Let's begin with Bitcoin. So this is what it would look like to our customers. So we can go through here and look at let's do the last 12 months of Bitcoin. So this is essentially a high frequency trading strategy, meaning that if you want to make several trades, it will go through here and show you when it would buy and sell, right? So beginning all the way from basically 2018. So if we go here, it's basically, it turned bullish on Bitcoin when Bitcoin was around $11,000, and it went all the way up here. Then it turned bearish. Then this was essentially a fake out. It turned bullish, turned bearish here, and now it's bullish on Bitcoin again. So we have two strategies. Down here, we'll have a table that shows the metrics on this. So this strategy has an accuracy of over 60%, and we have some other metrics here. Now, if we shift to a low frequency trading strategy, this is for somebody who wants to make fewer trades. So imagine just kind of somebody who wants to just buy and hold, but also know when it's time to get in and get out, right? So the low frequency trading strategy, so the accuracy on this is actually very, very good. It's basically been bullish on Bitcoin since 11,000, and it's not turned bearish at all, right? So this, in a way, is a way for you to passively know what to do in crypto. But guess what? We have this model working for over 6,000. I think we'll have it working for almost 6,000 coins. Don't quote me on that because I have to double check. The requirement, however, is that the cryptocurrency has to have at least 90 days worth of price action. So basically 3 months worth of price action. So meaning that your new degen coins likely will not be there. However, if we have more than 3 months worth of price action, we can then build this model. So let's go through some coins here. So looking at Ethereum, so the low frequency trading strategy was bullish on Ethereum from basically 380 all the way until 1500. Then it's basically sold, got out, turned bullish, then Ethereum dipped, and it's now turned bearish on Ethereum. So definitely worth keeping an eye on this. And this is the low frequency trading strategy. This currently has an accuracy of 75%, looking at this. Now, if we go to the one that does a lot more trading, so the difference between the two, the high frequency, you will trade a lot more, but you might overtrade. While the low frequency will trade a lot less, However, it might take it a while for it to really sell the top, right? Because essentially these strategies are trying to time the top and the bottoms, and they help you capture the rallies, right? As you see here, this was bullish on Ethereum from 375 all the way until 1400, almost 1500, right? So both of these are bearish on Ethereum. So definitely worth keeping an eye on this. This has an accuracy of 50%. But let's go to Cardano, right? So Cardano right now, low frequency is still bullish on Cardano, on ADA. If we go to the high frequency, it's also bullish. I mean, this is textbook. This is why we think this is going to be a game changer, because it basically told you it was bullish on ADA at 10 cents all the way up until now, right? So if you've been wondering, is it good to hold ADA right now, take profits? Right now, this model is still bullish on ADA. Let's go to Polkadot, right? So Polkadot, unfortunately, the high frequency strategy was bullish on Polkadot from about $5 and has now turned bearish at 30. So basically, it's taken profit, right? If we go to the low frequency trading strategy on Polkadot, okay, I think this one was having issues loading, but I mean, let's kind of chime in here. Bill and Forrest, what's your take on this new strategy launching this week for our customers?
Well, this is making my life a lot easier. Go ahead, Forrest. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay, so this makes my life easier, right? In other words, if I can go through the top coins of the week or look at the top 20 coins after a correction and get some kind of idea what an independent machine-based process says, then I can come up with a market view. So let's go back to the market update. Essentially, I was saying, altcoins may have problems. You do not want to see them go down. That came from these trend indicators, okay? Because if these signals get validated, altcoins are going lower because the sell signals may appear in other coins and it could be a chain reaction. So that's why I was like, well, look out for a Bitcoin rally. Make sure you have proper risk management. Now, also in the market update, I said, sometimes charts can look terrible. Things can get bearish, and then the market can surprise you and go up. So again, working off this indicator, I would ask myself, what happens if the indicator for this particular time is not correct? That could produce quite a rally. Net, I'm not fading the computer. I work for Token Metrics. So please be careful with your risk management. And I'm leaning towards these signals being serious, particularly when they're coming across a lot of the top coins.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, I view this as a massive value add for being able to manage your portfolio and manage the risk of your portfolio. So you saw several examples where maybe it did give a bearish signal and then it rallied a little bit and gave a bullish signal. Well, selling or trimming some profits on that bearish signal just because you might have missed out on a couple percent before it got you back in, what that's not taking into account is the amount of the risk that you've of course my camera just died, so I probably froze here. But what that's not taking into account is the amount of risk that you reduced by potentially taking profits when it gave a bearish signal, right? Because what happens if that bearish signal is correct? Then you've taken profits and you've secured your money. It's only a matter of time before the bull market does end, and those bearish signals are going to be correct. And I have a feeling they're going to be correct a lot more often than they're not. So I view this as a massive value add for being able to manage a portfolio and manage your risk in a portfolio. And I'm looking forward to using it personally.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. So we actually have a request here. Somebody's asking for Monero. Let's take a look at this. So looking at Monero, the low frequency indicator in the last 12 months is still bullish on Monero. It's been bullish on Monero since 150. And if we go to the high frequency indicator or strategy, as it's loading here. So the high frequency, which trades a lot more, has actually turned bearish on Monero. So it went from bullish at 154 and basically took profits at 211. So yeah, there you go. So imagine having this for thousands of cryptocurrencies. It's basically on-demand TA. Now, as mentioned, our team will always still be around. Like this is not replacing anybody. This is just a great way to give you your own analysis, but we'll always be having our team with our newsletter, with our content, with the live streams, the shows, but having this level of insight for any asset you have, right? Because at the end of the day, we know people have lots of different cryptocurrencies in their portfolio. So if you want to have something that can help you with your portfolio, we highly recommend, if you haven't become a customer, to become a customer while this is still available. All right, now, one thing to note, this is going to be replacing the price predictions. So because we think this gives people better understanding without having any conflicts, right? Because the price predictions sometimes were volatile or were hard to kind of decipher, or sometimes were random. But we think this takes everything those were doing, but making it a lot simpler visually. Like this is so simple, your grandparents can use it. That's basically what we were going for, right? And this is different from just using a regular moving average, in the sense that we're using different machine learning models to go through different quantitative indicators and sum them all up into one signal, and having them be very, very adaptive for both people who want to trade very often and for people who want to have a lot less trades. Plus, we have a third indicator coming, which will basically be a combination of all of this plus other metrics, right? Plus the quant grade, right? So stay tuned. But this is launching this week. So if you're a customer, we hope you like this. Let us know what you think down below. We also do plan to have lots of live streams to walk you through this. So probably beginning on maybe Monday and Wednesday. Our team will kind of confirm this via the announcements channel and via email. But expect to have several live streams with our team, just walking you through this and trying to teach you how to use this. Okay, so we have one last request here. Somebody wants us to look at Flow. Okay, so let's do that. Let's take a look at Flow. Thank you, Learn with Tizel. Not sure if I pronounced that right. Okay, so Flow. Let's take a look at Flow here. Okay, so we have the low frequency indicator. Okay, so this is still bullish. Okay, not sure what's going on over here on the land. So still bullish on Flow. If we go to the high frequency strategy, so this is in the last 6 months. Okay, so the high frequency one, which does a lot more trading, has turned bearish. So it was bullish from 637 all the way until $25. So how should somebody interpret this, right? So as Forrest mentioned, one thing to note, so because this doesn't have as much data, but this accuracy is 100%. But ideally, you'd want something that has been or has lots of price action for several years. That way, you can see how it trades over a long-term period. But because Flow is a relatively new coin, there isn't too much price history. And as I mentioned, this requires 3 months worth of price history. But looking at this, I would treat this as a time to take profits. If you're still bullish on this, maybe don't sell everything. But if you're just trading this and you don't really care about the long-term story, it's probably a good time to take profits and wait until it turns bullish, right? Because going back to the example here, actually, I think it was on, right? So for example here, right? So with Ethereum, it was bullish, turned bearish, meaning that it took profits. Then it got bullish again because it looked like Ethereum was about to rally. Then Ethereum corrected, right? So sometimes it's not perfect, right? This is not the replacement for everything. However, it's a pretty good guide to help you become a better trader and investor. So let us know what you think. But this is a new feature coming soon, coming this week to all our customer base. All right, let's go back to. Let's now go to the AMA. Let me see what time it is here. Okay, so if you have any, so all the questions people have submitted to menti.com, let's go through and pick the top questions. Okay, so the first question was audio. We've already covered audio, or audios. There's lots of interest in that. Let me go back to the top here. If you're enjoying the stream, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Okay, so first question. Hi, Ian. What are your thoughts on Dfinity? Novo recently mentioned it, and Vitalik described it as ETH's biggest competitor or best competitor. Okay, I mean, yeah, I heard Dfinity's about to launch their mainnet, so that's definitely good news. I mean, I think we looked at this a while back. Technology was good, not the greatest. I mean, I'm not sure if we would classify this as Ethereum's biggest competitor. I mean, if Vitalik says so, maybe they've made updates we aren't aware of. In our opinion, the biggest competitor to Ethereum from a technology standpoint, projects that have had the highest code review would be Polkadot, Casper Labs. Casper Labs has great technology. That one we've shared with our audience. I mean, all the way back to over a year ago. And Casper Labs is definitely worth keeping an eye on. Dfinity, our developers haven't really been raving about that, so not sure I would put it in the same camp, but maybe there've been some updates. I know they were trading on an exchange, but I think there were futures or IOUs. I'm not sure if the token has actually launched yet. Do any of you know, Bill or Forrest, if Dfinity's token is trading?
I don't.
Okay, let me search on CoinGecko here.
Yeah, CoinGecko is not returning anything on my end.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't really have much else to say there. Okay, all right. Okay, so hold on. So speaking of that, what do you guys think is the biggest competition for Ethereum besides Dfinity?
I personally hedge against Ethereum with Cardano. That's my my personal hedge against Ethereum. And whether or not it actually does catch up to Ethereum is almost irrelevant at this point because it's such a hyped up coin. And if people believe that it could perform extremely well this market cycle. So as Ethereum sheds market dominance or market share, we're seeing Cardano pick a lot of that up. Binance Smart Chain, BNB, is picking up a lot of market share too, but I'm not as bullish long term on Binance Smart Chain, so I chose Cardano.
All right, Bill?
Well, even though it's highly speculative, you know, the price action in Kusama is telling you about the potential of Polkadot. Yes, I know Polkadot is highly speculative and it's very easy to hate, especially if you're an ETH person, right? I actually think the future is going to be in connecting cross-chain between Polkadot and Ethereum. In other words, for people in the tri-state area, I know there's not a lot, but you have the Garden State Parkway and the New Jersey Turnpike. Polkadot and Ethereum are probably going to be the dominant smart contract networks going forward. In the meantime, as Forrest noted, it literally is anybody's game because it's a protest trade. Like if you're sick of the gas fees, you can either not trade or you can buy Cardano or Binance or PancakeSwap, right? So it's almost like people are voting with their feet. And it's a protest trade for now, but who is the complementary network to Ethereum is to be determined.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay, let's go to the next question. What are your thoughts on the IDO space? And do you see any up-and-coming projects with great potential? Thank you. All right, great question. I mean, I think the IDO space is basically, honestly, pump and dump space because most of these projects, I would say, especially those on Polkastarter. Now, Polkastarter is one of the few Polkadot projects that has scored well on a code review, right? So the platform itself is great. But honestly, Polkastarter's token is ERC20 token. The projects are raising money in ETH and ERC20 tokens. And most of the projects haven't launched yet because Polkadot is not ready yet. So you're basically hyping up vaporware, right? I think it's fine if you know what you're getting into. If you know that, hey, all these projects right now are vaporware and you aren't falling in love with them, you're just kind of getting in because they have no product yet that's live. That's why most of these projects, to my knowledge, when they raise funds on Polkastarter or these IDEA platforms, they pivot and launch their own IDEA platform, right? Because the token has no value, no actual utility because the product isn't ready yet. right? So the way I view it is it's pure speculation. That's fine if you treat this as a trade, meaning that put less than 1% of your portfolio into all these IDOs. Don't go heavier than that because it's hard to go heavy into projects that are pure speculation with no product, right? Now, that's not to say they won't ever pan out, but I think if you're a value investor with a long-term time horizon, like myself, you definitely want to avoid investing in vaporware. Forrest or Bill?
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Ian. I think that the IDO space reminds me a lot of the speculation we saw in the ICO space with Ethereum back in 2017. And if you don't have the ability to do the due diligence and the research on those projects, then you probably shouldn't be investing in those vaporware projects. I mean, that's essentially what one of the big value adds that Token Metrics has is we do that research for you. But in terms of Polkadot specifically, I think that there's so many projects that are overhyped that the real value for a long-term investment is in Polkadot and Kusama, the actual blockchains, the original blockchains of Polkadot and Kusama, rather than the speculative, hyped up IDOs that are coming out on those chains.
All right, Bill?
Well, if throughout the market update and with the trend indicator, if we have legitimate concerns about, the TA on the big caps and their ability to sustain the rally and hold it together, what is that telling you about the vaporware? This is why I said what I said in the market update. If you get caught in vaporware and Polkadot goes to 24, your portfolio is going to disappear, right? And you won't be there for the next run when, the big players are scooping up, everything on a dip. Or, you miss out on something else because you were too upset. So, don't get vaporized. If you made money, pay yourself.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I mean, great catchphrase there. Let's trademark that. Okay, next question. Can we look at Icon, ICX, please? Okay, Bill, if you could pull that up on your end. Let me also give a preview here on with a trends indicator. So the low frequency indicator is still bullish on Icon. It's been bullish since 41 cents. Icon right now is at 233. The accuracy on this is about 66% on this, meaning that when it's right, if it's bullish, it keeps on going up. If it's bearish, it goes down. If we go to the high frequency indicator, that's also still bullish since 41 cents. Now let's see what the TA has to say.
Okay, pulling it up here now. Okay, so this is a very interesting picture, right? This is Icon. It's really trying to take out this $2 level. It looks like you had some late stage FOMO in this. Okay. In TA terms, you may be seeing a 5-wave structure, right? Which I can try and draw. Okay. Now, the fact it's above $2 does mean it can go to 3. There is room for it to go to 3. However, sellers are out there. This is the theme that we've been going across the entire show. So when you see this type of candle where it shoots up to 275 and then gets rejected back down to 230, in a normal set of circumstances, I'd be like, hey, let's take a shot at 3. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not. If you made money in this, you should think about taking it. If you want to hold on for 3, at least manage your P&L sensibly.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay, let's go to the next question here. Bill, regarding perp, do you see it getting back to its flash pump to $16 anytime soon? Or was that an anomaly? Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Okay, so let's talk about perp. Let's just talk about it without looking at the chart because that spike to 16 makes it a little difficult. I think what perp has done was the spike to 16 could have been an initial wave up. And then that low at near $6 could be, what they call the two wave. So the only thing good about the $16 peak, even though it was obvious greed and excess, is that if perp bottomed at 6 and can hold it together, if altcoins don't do well, then perp may be making a base to take out 16. Now there's an if in there. So if you're holding perp now, I don't know that I expect perp to moon back to 16, given that altcoins are in a precarious position as of now. However, on a long-term basis, if you believe in that project the way we see that project as possibly challenging the future of futures, then the $6 to $7 price point is interesting as long as it holds together. So perp is probably going to go into like a base building mode, and then we see from there.
All right, thank you, Bill. Actually, let me bring this up here. So let's also look at the trend indicator. So from the high frequency has turned bearish on perp. However, there's not too much data because this is a new coin, so take it with a grain of salt. If we go to the low frequency indicator, this is still bullish on perp. Just kind of give you additional context and perspective. Okay, so let's take a question here from the audience. Thank you, Ameritech Associates, for the super chat. Could you kindly do TA on VSP, Vesper Finance? I'm a current TM customer and cannot locate it in search. Okay, I think we've kind of already covered this. I think Bill covered this earlier, but I will showcase this. Maybe we have this in the, yeah, so we do have this right now on the testing server. So all 6,000 tokens are not live yet, but as mentioned, it's coming this week. So look out for the email and the announcement via the alerts channel and our social media. So looking at VSP, the low frequency indicator is bullish, but it's not been too accurate right now because this is, once again, a new coin. So the more historical price action there is, the better. So with this is relatively new, so it's still kind of trying to learn this. So far it's not been accurate, but it did turn bullish. So back in March 7th at $30, and right now it's at 63. And if we go to the high frequency indicator, okay, this has no signals yet. Bill, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so let's talk Vesper. I've got the chart here. Okay, I think one of the things you want to do with something like this. Okay, this is a 4-hour chart of Vesper. It's March 9th. Now, this looks like, if you look here on the top right of the chart, this looks like a nice initial wave higher. The pullback was deep in that it stopped at the 38% retracement. If the altcoin market rallies, this could go up a lot. Now, in contrast, if you were to wait, it might be interesting to see if Vesper, if there is a decline in alts because of Bitcoin, winds up testing the 50 level, which was kind of like a prior high, and it's the 62% retracement of the most recent advance. So one of the things that you can do with dual trends indicator is use it to say, do I FOMO in now? Do I buy the dip now? Do I buy some now, but wait for lower prices later? I would vote some now maybe, but lower prices may come. You may get discount shopping on a lot of these altcoins. So it can't hurt to wait. And you know what? If I'm wrong and we wake up tomorrow and ETH is above 2K, well, we can just party on. But I think the visual trends indicator and basic TA can be combined to make your planning better.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay. All right. So let's go to the last question and then we'll wrap up the live stream. So if you're enjoying the stream, once again, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, share this video with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. Not being in crypto at this point is a financial crime. Okay. Last question. Hi, Ian, Bill, and Forrest. Can you share all the tokens you are holding so far for this bull run? And also, what are the tokens you might carry onto the next long bear market? Example, Ian mentioned about Helium, HNT. Yes, we can. Okay, so let me pull up my trusty Blockfolio here, and I'll go through what I'm currently holding. So basically, I've not sold any of the cryptocurrencies I've mentioned this year. So I have Ethereum. So here, I'll go in order of my largest holdings. Right, so I have Ethereum, Matic, Helium, Audio, Altcoin, which has been on a tear. That's done a 50x from token sale from the ICO back in 2017. I've not sold any Altcoin. I have some Chromia all the way back from their ICO back in 2018. I've been selling that one, taking profits on the regular. I sold about 20% about 2 weeks ago or last month. About 2 weeks ago. I have wrapped Ethereum. I have Benchmark Protocol. I purchased some Siren. This is a derivatives protocol. We shared this with the customers about 1 or 2 weeks ago. So if you're a customer, we showcased that project to you. I have Perp, which is Perpetual Protocol. I have Vesper Finance, 1inch, Tornado Cash, Armor, P Network, Idle Finance, OPM, Staked Ethereum. That's how I'm kind of getting exposure to ETH 2.0 through staking. LDL, which is Lido, Uniswap, and Synthetics. So that's what I'm currently holding. Honestly, I plan to hold all these for a while, probably all the way until end of Q2. Maybe in Q3, if any of them are not performing, then maybe I'll revisit. Now, I am kind of running low on Ethereum because lots of my ETH is either invested in these projects or I'm adding it onto LP as an LP for staking and yield farming. So I will have to take some profits on some projects. But for me, if the projects I don't plan to sell anytime soon, meaning definitely not this year, is Helium Network. I know I'm becoming a broken record, but the reason why I'm very bullish on Helium is this. Helium essentially is building a network, right? So if you understand Metcalfe's law, a network gets more useful the more people join this, right? That's why telephones, they basically follow Metcalfe's law, the internet, right? So if you ask yourself this, would you sell the internet? If the internet was a stock or a token, would you sell the internet in 1996? In 2000? In 2010? No, because the internet gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The internet is going forwards, not backwards. And to me, Helium Network is a decentralized network. Every single month, as more people join the network, it gets even more useful. It follows Metcalfe's law. So I don't need the money now. So why would I sell Helium, right? It sounds crazy, but makes me even more bullish, right? I do plan to launch a validator. Right now, they're going through some test phase of validators. Once I have an open weekend, which is pretty rare, I hope to go through using AWS, maybe DigitalOcean, and fire up a node because the APY on that is also pretty high. But that's the one, honestly, I don't plan to sell. It's kind of like mining Bitcoin back in 2013. I mean, if you sold Bitcoin back in 2013, you thought you're taking profits, but looking back at where the price of Bitcoin is now, you you probably have lots and lots of regrets, right? Because I'd rather sell, honestly, even my Ethereum. I'd rather take profits on Ether than sell my Helium network. That's how bullish I am. But let's go to Bill. What are you currently holding?
All right. Well, in line with what I said, I moved a large allocation to Bitcoin, particularly after I saw what the visual trends indicator had to say. I kept positions in perp and alpha, and obviously some ETH, but I moved. I went to Bitcoin. I mean, it's almost like going to a stable coin with an option for it to rocket higher, because I don't see a reason for altcoins to go down by themselves unless the dollar goes up. I just think the most likely scenario, if altcoins underperform, it's because there's some kind of gigantic upside catalyst in Bitcoin.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, I'll run through my portfolio real quick in no particular order after the first couple. My largest two positions are Polkadot, because I love that you can stake it for 12% and I'm bullish on it long term. And Audius, even though I just took out my initial stake that I put into Audius, I initially put like 15% of my portfolio in, and once it 3 to 4x, I took out my initial stake, but I still have one of my largest positions in my portfolio in Audius. I have a large speculative position in Nano. It's performed kind of on par with the rest of the market, but it's a digital cash solution that I'm very bullish on. Chainlink, Cardano, Uniswap, Rarible is a small cap that I'm in, and it's because I got the airdrop, and that airdrop was initially worth like 30 or 40 bucks. Maybe it was like 70 bucks, but now it's worth almost $1,000. Sandbox, I just picked up a little bit of Sandbox when they listed on Gemini. I think it's probably overbought, but the Sandbox is essentially a decentralized version of Minecraft, and they made it so that people can port in all the work that they've done and everything they've built on Minecraft. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And as a potential long-term hold, just to put a little bit of my portfolio in, I'm kind of bullish on that. And I like the narrative of people or projects being able to bring in non-crypto people. If you can bring in kids through a video game that's like Minecraft, I think that's huge, especially when there's microtransactions and NFTs built into that platform. That's not really a small cap gem anymore. It's rank 120. It's over 550 million market cap. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Rari Capital, and then I've got a little bit of money in Soda Finance. Again, kind of just an NFT narrative play. And then obviously I've got some DeFi LP stuff going on. Balancer, Uniswap, Badger DAO, Bancor Network, Sushi Swap, stuff like that.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. All right. People love your portfolio there. Okay. So let me just move this here. All right. So if you enjoyed this live stream, be sure to smash the like button, share this with your friends, tell a friend to tell a friend. Okay. Time for us to wrap things up. Okay. Bill, any last words for our crypto family?
Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Okay. Would love to see ETH come back above 1740. I would love to see alt season extend itself. I also would love for our readers not to get wrecked if something weird happened between now and May. So if you find yourself Googling Lambos or possibly partying with a lampshade on your head because your crypto has gone up so much, perhaps you should think about risk management. I'd like the party to continue, but I want you to be here for the next big move.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Let's go to Forrest. Any last words?
Echoing just exactly what Bill said. Obviously, practice, not financial advice, but practice good risk management. I believe personally that the total crypto market at large is at a pretty critical inflection point where if we can maintain and hold support here, things could go parabolic like they did back in 2017. And at that point, things are moving very fast. And obviously, that's a fantastic outcome. And that's what we all want to see. We all want to see the cryptocurrency market go parabolic. But if and when it does, don't be afraid to take profits, because when things go up parabolic, they do crash. So practice good risk management would be my final words, not financial advice.
All right. Thank you, Forrest and Bill. Yeah, I mean, I echo all those words. As mentioned earlier, we're all bullish long-term in crypto, but heading into Q2 and next month, we're cautiously bullish, right? So if your psyche leads you to be inclined to panic sell, if you're up a lot, as Bill mentioned, on some altcoins, take some profits. However, if your psyche makes you more inclined to hodl, and you're comfortable with the volatility of crypto, and you're comfortable with any large corrections, then hodl, right? But whatever works best for you, ask yourself, would you be comfortable if your portfolio dropped 40%? If not, take profits on your winners, right? If you're comfortable with that drop, then hang in there, right? But thank you all for the support and feedback with all these big updates. As mentioned, going from 600 to 6,000 tokens was no easy feat. This all came from us taking in feedback from our customers. So always keep that feedback coming in. We do all this because of you. And then also thank you for inspiring us to want to build the visual trends indicator. Based on the feedback from the price prediction models, we knew this was something that was needed to take everything in our platform to make it even easier, to a point where even your grandparents can do this, right? So being able to now have this platform and this visual trends indicator and applying it to over 6,000 tokens, we think that that's a huge game changer, all coming from the input of all of you, right? So thank you for all the support. Now, one thing to note, it's not perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. Use it as a tool. Don't use it as the only tool in your investment or trading arsenal. That's why we have the other parts of the platform. We have the daily newsletters, we have the show, and we also have some even more big news coming next month. Based on all your feedback and input, you've told us that you love the live streams. The live streams is every Sunday. You guys love it. And now we're proud to say we're almost close to launching Token Metrics TV. It will be coming next month. We'll have content on there just for our customers, premium content. So content like this, we'll have Bill doing a daily market update. We'll have Forrest sharing his price predictions and all the videos on his watch list before even posting them on the channel. And I'll also have my own very show called Moon Mission, right? Jad, our quant, will also have his own show. So if you want to have access to even more content, we highly encourage you to become a customer. Because as mentioned, we're offering even more value, from Token Metrics TV to the Trends Indicator to 6,000 assets. So if you haven't yet become a customer, now is the time. Right now, we're looking at probably by the end of April, we'll be increasing the pricing. So that gives you a month to think about it, join, test things out, because a trial is only about $2, right? So $2 for a week. If you find it valuable, then join the team. If you don't, that's fine too. You won't hurt our feelings. But anyway, we love you all. Thank you so much. And as we like to say,
We just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
the moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond. Thank you, crypto family. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.